Yes, I know. I can't believe I'm doing this either. But why not? I guess this is pretty tough for a lot of people to get. Blanton's original single barrel, 93 proof. On its own, it's not a bad bourbon. I think it drinks like a $35 bourbon. Here in Oregon, it costs $70 a bottle if you're able to find it. I found that like newer whiskey drinkers seem to kind of like this. I don't know if it's because it's kind of cool looking and pretty. The proof is low-ish. It's sweet, but for whatever the reason. Anyway, so this Blanton's, we're going to do some blends that are replacements, alternatives for this with things that are kind of off. I mean, they're easier to find than this anyways, I'll say that, you know, to try and actually match the flavor of Blanton's. Because so what I get in the palate Blanton's, I get honey, like a green apple dipped in caramel, and that's about it. You know, I do get just some like light weak pepper and a little bit of cinnamon on the finish, and it's like Buffalo Trace product. It's sweet. It's a decent sipper, you know. There's not really anything wrong with it except for the price and the hype of what it is. So what are we going to do to match the flavor profile of Blanton's? What we're going to start with, hopefully this isn't too difficult for you to find, Buffalo Trace. This particular one is a single barrel. So it's on profile for Buffalo Trace. It just tastes like it's aged a little bit more, like a little darker than your typical Buffalo Trace. So I'm sure you could throw the regular Buffalo Trace in here and it would be fine. It would probably be great. So what do we blend with Buffalo Trace? Now this is the 90 proof Buffalo Trace. Well, the first one we're going to do is, now forgive me if this is hard to find for you, Weller Special Reserve. If you blend one part each of these, you're going to get something that's 90 proof, 30 bucks. And honestly, it's very similar to this Blanton's. I don't know how to explain the difference. It's a little different, not much. I think when there's whiskeys like this that are lower proof, they don't have a lot of age, they aren't complex, they're just kind of sweet. It's kind of easier to match that type of sweetness, but to explain what's the difference between these two, because they're all Buffalo Trace products, there's not much, except for, at least for me, these are much easier to get than the Blanton's. Well, this is getting kind of tough to get. So that's your first one. So let's take this out, because I realize this is probably hard. This is almost as hard for me to find as this. I'm guessing this may be really difficult for most of you to get. Well, what we can do, something that fortunately is not that hard for me to find in Oregon. I'm going to say this blend tastes similar, but it's better. You throw Eagle Rare 10-year into the mix. So 1 part Buffalo Trace, 1 part Eagle Rare 10-year, and you got something that tastes like a better Blanton's. It's just more viscous, like a more syrupy, like darker quality to it. It fits my flavor profile much better, but it's probably 95% to what this Blanton's tastes like, even though I would say I definitely prefer the blend of these two to just the Blanton's on its own. Again, it's going to be 90 proof. The blend is going to be about $34, and that's of course if you can get these at MSRP, which in Oregon we do. Okay, but there's one other blend that is very good, and I think it's about the same. It tastes it's hard to tell the difference to Blanton's, and that is you put in 1792 small batch. 1 part of this to 1 part of your Buffalo Trace. Again, I know this is a store pick. It's a little bit different than the standard Buffalo Trace, but you could throw the standard one in here and I'm sure it would be very close. It tastes so similar to this Blanton's that it's hard to tell the difference. Way easier to get both of these, at least here in Oregon. I think the blend of these comes up to $31. So if you're just dying to have Blanton's, but you can't find it, blend these two together and you're gonna fool anybody, because these are single barrels, right? Yeah, single barrel. So they're all gonna, they're gonna vary a little bit. I guarantee you could pour, if you have a bottle of Blanton's, pour some of that and pour someone a blend of these two and ask them to tell you which one's Blanton's. They wouldn't be able to tell you because they both taste exactly like Blanton's. So, okay, hopefully that helped you out. If you have a different blend that gets you right on profile with Blanton's, let us know. Keep an eye out for, just recently got, a friend gave us some Blanton's Gold, which is way better than this, and some Rock Hill Farms. I'm going to try and do some blends to match those as well. So, all right, keep blending, all right? Don't overpay for these things. You can blend things up at home. You can do things at home that will get you so close to a lot of these allocated products, with whiskeys that are off the shelf. Okay, until next time.